So, ladies and gentlemen, Miami Dolphins fans everywhere, I come to you on a victory Sunday. Miami slaughters the Jets 30 to nothing. Their last shutout was only a few years ago, also against the Jets. It's always nice to beat the Jets. I have to be honest, you guys know who followed this channel, followed me. Following that inexplicable loss to Tennessee last week, following the season ending injury to Connor Williams, following Tyreek Hill being banged up and out of the game, following Holland and Elliott out of the game, X out of the game, I have to tell you, I was not the most optimistic about our chances, and I was down on this team once again because if you've been a Dolphins fan for as long as I have, and many of you have, you almost expect that there's going to be some type of meltdown in December. And the way things were looking, it wasn't looking great. Now, we still have to see how the rest of the games shake out today. We're still in a dogfight to see where the playoff seeding is, to see what happens with the division. We got 3 tough games ahead. But it's nice to beat a division rival, to sweep them. And I think what I'm most impressed by is the way that this team, even down all of those starters, the way that this team bounced back. And you could tell that they took that loss last week personally, and they had something to prove. And that was the only thing you could have hoped for. It's a show-me season. And last week showed that maybe we were going to succumb again. But this week showed that there's still a whole lot of fight and a whole lot of pride and a whole lot of effort and dedication in this team. Now, we started with our offensive line. We had Armstead, we had Austin Jackson going, and then you had Jones. Eichenberg gave it a go at center, played the whole game, and then you had Cotton. I was a little bit worried about that going in. If you paid attention, unfortunately, Austin Jackson did not finish the game. Lamb was in there for him for a while, I think the entire second half and maybe even the end of the first half. So I'm not sure what happened with Austin Jackson. Hopefully he's okay. I don't know if it was precautionary. I don't know if it was because he was struggling a little bit because of the injury and they thought Lamb would be better. It's so great that we have a guy like Lamb, though, and let's hope it stays that way. Other than Austin Jackson getting a little banged up, I believe, and we'll see about the nicks and bruises and whatnot later, I believe that we finished the game healthy for once in weeks, for the first time in weeks, and it was very welcome. I'm so glad that happened. Okay? And people early on, talking about the offensive side of the ball, people early on were complaining about the screen game, how we were still throwing short passes. We were relying on the screen game. We had to take shots, this and that and the other thing. I actually got to tell you, with the way our offensive line was structured going into the game, with how banged up they were, with how we finished last week against Tennessee, I thought it was smart of McDaniel to start off with a screen game, get the ball out quick, get Tua in a rhythm, get the line blocking kind of quasi pass protection, quasi downhill, get the guys getting some momentum going forward. That's what we did with Waddle. And we also ran the ball. And I thought that was exactly what we needed. And then when it was time, when the Jets had been lulled to sleep a little bit, and they were anticipating the run and they were anticipating the screen game, and they were anticipating the short pass game, you see Waddle do a beautiful inside-out move, beautiful throw by Tua, and we break the game open at that point, really, with the 17-0 lead and the long Waddle touchdown. Tua finished 21 of 24 for 224 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. And I think, this isn't the cream of the crop in the NFL, obviously, the New York Jets. However, it's a division rival. It's the season on the line. It's coming off a really rough loss. It's, playoff seeding. It's another December collapse. It's all of these things. And you come out and you only don't complete 3 passes out of all the passes you threw. You're 21 of 24, 224 yards, a touchdown, no turnovers. I thought Tua spoke a lot today. I thought it was a really good performance by Tua. And I think it goes a long way in establishing himself. These are the games, right? You don't have Tyreek Hill. You don't have starters on offense. Your defense is hobbled in a lot of ways. You have to come out and you have to spread the ball around, make smart decisions, and win the game. And I think Tua went a long way in doing that today. I liked his play. Raheem Mostert might be the story of the game once again. Guy's having a brilliant season, a career season. 15 carries for 42 yards, average of 2.8, but 2 touchdowns. So now he surpasses that franchise Dolphins record by 2 touchdowns on the season. Awesome to see for him. So happy for him. And just another great performance by Raheem Mostert. And look, even the reserves on this offensive line, they may not be the best in pass protection, but they can run block. So I thought it was smart by McDaniel, too, to be running the ball, and I thought Mostert did well with that. I liked what I saw from both of them. Devon Achane, 9 carries for 32 yards, 3.6 a carry. It wasn't like the running lanes were everywhere there, but I think those averages are a little interesting because they both had some really nice chunk runs, but then they lost yards on certain plays just because the Jets were reading it after a while, and that is what it is. So I wouldn't go too far with that. But how about Jalen Waddle? 8 receptions for 142 yards, averaging 17.8 a catch and 1 touchdown. If anything, and Smythe, by the way, 4 receptions for 32 yards. Achane, 3 for 30. Berrios, 1 for 12. Claypool, 2 for 8. Cedric Wilson, 2 for 2 yards. Mostert had 1, and Jeff Wilson had 1. If there's anything positive to come out of a game like this, other than smashing the Jets, of course, it's that, Tua was forced without Tyreek Hill to make plays happen, to perform at a high level, and to open up the field to multiple players, and he did. Now, prior to the game, I said, look, Jalen Waddle's a number 1 receiver on a lot of teams in this league. And Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane are really talented running backs. And you've got an offensive line that can run block. There's no excuses in this game. I don't care how good the Jets defense is, and they are good. You gotta go out and show that you could win a game. And Tua did exactly that. Jalen Waddle stepped into the role that Tyreek would have had, and he was able to create, and he was able to get 142 yards. And that says a whole heck of a lot, in my opinion. It's exactly what you want to see from the coach and from the quarterback in the absence of an absolute star. Now let's switch to defense. Because the defense last week really pretty much gift-wrapped the game for us up until the end of that game. And they let up. Look, the offense struggled. The offense couldn't get 1 first down, couldn't do anything the end of last game. But the defense still gave up 2 touchdowns on 2 drives inside of 2 minutes. That was a problem. So the defense had to bounce back too. And this is a defense coming into this game where I wasn't confident because, look, they're starting 2 safeties. They're missing X. And let's be honest, over this season, when we're missing that many players in the secondary, we have tended to struggle at times. Now, the Jets don't have some grand offense, right? They don't have a grand quarterback. But Zach Wilson was coming off probably his best game, definitely this season, maybe his best game of his career. And I know the Jets' offensive line was banged up, so was ours. But this defense, our defense needed to have a solid game. And really, when you have injuries in the secondary, the best way to make up for that, especially against the banged-up offensive line, is for your front 7, and even especially your front 4 with our defense, to make an impact, to put pressure on the quarterback, and to make things happen, to take his eyes off of downfield, put his eyes right in front of him, and cause trouble. And that's exactly what they did. How about Bradley Chubb? A much maligned player earlier in the year, rightfully so. He was struggling with his big contract, the big trade. Bradley Chubb has been great over the course of this season, especially since the defense got used to Vic Fangio's system, got Ramsey back, all of these things. Bradley Chubb, just incredible. 3.5 sacks. I believe he forced 2 fumbles. 3.5 sacks. Just a beast game. Brandon Jones comes back, 2 interceptions after he hurts 2 of our players the last 2 weeks, and you're like, Brandon, what are you doing? And he's filling in for safeties who have played good all year, and he gets 2 picks. Now, these picks were terrible throws, but he still came down with 2 picks at opportune times, and that's what you want. That's what you want. He also came up and made some really nice tackles at certain times, which I thought were nice. Eli Apple got beat once that I remember, but he had a nice pass breakup earlier than that. I don't know why anybody's even testing Jalen Ramsey. Went right in there, boop, knocked that ball right out of Wilson's head. Just nice stuff all around. Zach Wilson went out right before half. Looked like he was dehydrated or something. And mark me safe from the New York media's hype about, Jets playoff runs and Aaron Rodgers' return and, all of those things. Mark me safe from that for another week. Zach Wilson goes out, 4 of 11 for 26 yards. I won't even put it on Wilson, though. Wilson had to throw the ball at the dirt. I actually thought Wilson was pretty adept at throwing the ball at the dirt near a receiver, so he didn't get intentional grounding when he was going to get sacked. He's playing for his next team. I think with better coaching, he could be a decent backup in the league somewhere, and he's trying. And I don't even put it on him. The offensive line was absolutely terrible, and our defensive line was beastly, as was our coverage when it came down to it. Trevor Siemian comes in, goes 14 of 26 for 110 yards, 2 interceptions. Sometimes he looked like he was letting it fly. Other times he was getting mauled, just like Wilson did, and other times he was just chucking it up there. We really still have to be better with the penalties. We've got to be better with the penalties. No turnovers from us, which was great. When you win the turnover battle, everybody knows your chances of winning go up exponentially. It was 4-0 in the turnover differential. We had 2 forced fumbles that we got possession of and 2 interceptions. When that happens, you have a good chance of beating teams soundly, which is exactly what we did here. So that's nice to see. 6 of 15 on third down efficiency, 2 of 2 on fourth down efficiency. Later in the game, it was almost unstoppable. When we get close to the sticks and you have the momentum like that, you can do things like that. You open up the playbook. You can run. You can pass. And I think it showed there in our fourth down efficiency. Penalties, we had 9 penalties for 65 yards. The Jets had 7 penalties for 55 yards. And those penalties, negated some big plays for us, which I think hurt a little bit, right? So we're going to have to still clean up these penalties going forward. When you're playing teams that are a little more formidable, these penalties are going to bite you in the butt. So we still got to clean up that sloppiness with the penalties. Look, the Connor Williams injury still hurts. Okay? Jalen Phillips, it still hurts. Because going up against these teams, you got Dallas at home, you got Baltimore on the road, you got Buffalo at home. These games are going to decide a lot about where we are in playoff seeding, how much of a run we can make, what our odds are in general this year. But already, you've seen this team, been able to arrest a collapse and stop a tumble from snowballing. And that's really, really good to see. That's great to see. Okay? But we got a really tough stretch coming up. And you got to hope. You got to hope at this point, guys. You got to hope. You have Tyreek back healthy. You rested him so he didn't injure himself worse. Hopefully he's back healthy next week. Hopefully we can get a guy like Hunt back healthy. Hopefully Austin Jackson's not banged up, if for nothing else, so that Lamb can be ready if Armstead or him goes down again. Hopefully these guys are okay. Hopefully Holland comes back. Elliott, hopefully he's out of concussion protocol. Hopefully X is hip. These are not crazy injuries. The best part about games like this today, the best part about games like this is you can get guys who are backups reps, and you can instill confidence in these guys, and you can instill confidence in the rest of the team that if one of these guys goes down, and that includes Tyreek now, if one of these guys goes down, we have formidable backups who can do things, who can step into the role, and we can still succeed. So the team doesn't have to be deflated. You don't have to be caught like a deer in headlights, and you can do it. But if we can get these guys healthy for the stretch now, after doing what we did in this game, it might build us even stronger for the rest of the year. But we will see. As I've said, it's a show me season, and I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch. I will not do that. I refuse to do that. So I'm going to enjoy this victory. I'm going to soak it up this week. My Christmas spirit is reinvigorated. The black cloud has been lifted from me that was hanging over me all week. Hanging over South Florida all week. Now the rain's up here. And it's sunny in South Florida as they won that game. I mean, thank you for reinstilling and reinvigorating this Christmas week for me, because I really needed it. But I did tell you last week that I didn't blame McDaniel and Tua when Tyreek went down and they looked lost because they hadn't game planned for it. They game planned for it this week, and I thought they did better. But going forward, you got to be ready to absorb injuries like that. They could happen mid-game. Let's hope they don't. Let's hope they don't. But you got to be ready to do that. And obviously, last week Tennessee was kicking us all over the field. We're getting hurt. This week the Jets kept going down. We were physical. We came out physical. I've not seen this type of resiliency from this team in years. In years. So it's a fun night to be a Dolphins fan, but let's see what happens with the rest of everything else. And let's not count our chickens before they hatch, but it's really a nice thing. You really wish we didn't lose that game last week because these standings would have been so much different. But you can only look ahead. You can only take it one thing at a time, one play at a time, one game at a time. You can only do that going forward. You can't do that going backward. So we are where we are. But you got to be excited that we shut out the Jets. You can't ask for a better – you really couldn't ask for a better performance. And seeing all the things you wanted to see with reserve players playing, with Tua doing things, with McDaniel doing things, you really couldn't ask for more. So it's a great place to be right now for tonight. But we have a really tough stretch coming up. And let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do. But guys, if you have not done so yet and you're watching me, if you're a Fins fan, if you're an NFL fan, hit subscribe. Get us to 1,500 subscribers. We are so close. Hit the subscribe button. Join the Fury fam. We're coming back better than ever in January when our monetization, everything comes back. Hit subscribe. There's no reason not to join Fury fam. Why not subscribe to one more channel? You subscribe to so many others, I'm sure. Just click right now. Just click that. It's right here. Click that button before you go. Click that subscribe button right now. Join Fury fam. We'll be live tomorrow. Oh, no, not tomorrow. We'll be live Tuesday at 7 p.m. for Larry, Lucci, G, and Shake. Live show, sharing all our thoughts. We got memes for you. Shake's got the good, the bad, the ugly from today's game. Make sure you tune in. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Enjoy the rest of your Victory Sunday. Larry K. out.